welcome to the TUI Solo Super Test between England and Australia tonight, the 5th Test. It's been a great series so far. Australia currently lead 2-1, and it could all hinge on tonight's test here at the Newcastle Motordrome. We've got a slight problem with the infield microphone communications at the moment. We'll try and fix that very shortly for you, but I'd like to introduce the riders to you trackside at the moment, and we'll do the best we can. The Australian captain, number 1, Phil Crump. Number 2 rider for New South Wales, the former New South Wales title holder, Stephen Davies. The number 3 rider from Sydney, a guy that's got great courage around here at the Motordrome, Michael Poole. Number 4, the New South Wales Crown champ, Todd Wilshire. He was on a maximum here last time. Can he do it again tonight? Number 5 from Queensland, 2 times Australian champion, Troy Butler. Number 6, the Cessnock Whiz Kid, Chris Watson. And number 7, a guy I'm sure you'll all appreciate being in the team tonight, the new Australian citizen, Sean Wilmot. Now the English team tonight, they're down 2-1 at the moment. They'll be trying to put that back in order tonight. There's been a few changes to the team. The English captain, Jeremy Doncaster, unfortunately has had to pull out tonight, but in his place, number 1, Gary Havelock. The number 2 rider for England is Andy Calvin. Number 3 rider for England, a guy who likes the Motordrome circuit here and produced a very good times the last time he was here, Paul Thorpe. The number 4 rider, the extrovert, Sean Wilson. The number 5 rider, a guy who scored a maximum in Perth in the first test, was pretty good at the Motordrome here last time, Steve Schofield. Now the number 6 rider, Mark Loram, unfortunately was injured in Brisbane a couple of nights ago, but he's been replaced by the very competent Ray Morton. And the number 7 reserve rider for England is another guy who's been brought into the team. Make him welcome, Peter Chapman. So they're the teams, England versus Australia tonight. It's the number 5 test, the second one we've had here at the Motordrome for the TUI's International Solo Test. And Ross, I think it's going to be a pretty good night indeed.
Well, it certainly is, Sean. We do apologise for the technical problem we had with our on-track microphone. Our amplifiers, as you can hear on AOK, we've obviously got a bit of a problem with the microphone itself. We apologise for that, but there's an air of confidence about the Englishman. When you're dealing with teams, as we've said on a number of occasions here, you and I, you just tend to get that feeling, and there's a real air of confidence about the Englishman tonight. I think they're a little upset about their big loss at Brisbane on Wednesday night. They must win this test match to stay alive in the series, because Australia are leading by 2 tests to 1. 1 test was drawn, so Australia, by winning this test, can virtually wrap it up with only 3 tests to go. And the Englishmen are very, very confident that they can turn the tables here at the Motordrome.
Notice that they don't go according to cap colour for position. Normally the blue would be 2. But because they're racing in teams, the Australians will be 1 and 3, and the Englishmen will be white and yellow in positions 2 and 4, which is Gary Havelock, probably the first time here at the Motordrome for Gary Havelock, is it?
No, he has been out before, Gary, and is quite a competent rider too. He won't let the English side down by any shape or form, but Englishmen just striking problems they didn't want to strike at this time. Jeremy Doncaster forced to return to England. He's had to make an urgent trip back. And the other rider, Mark Loram, was injured in the test match at Brisbane on Wednesday night, and they urgently flew Peter Chapman out as their 7th rider because Loram will take no further part.
Andy Calvin, who acquitted himself quite well at the Motordrome here in the second test, previously about 5 weeks ago. He was a bit scrappy in his first heat, but after that he acquitted himself very well, and he'll be looking for an improved showing here tonight. The Australians, probably favourites going into the test. We'll soon find out as away they go in the first heat, and a level start too. They broke as one, but Phil Crump scoots to the lead. On the inside, Gary Havelock looking for the spot. Stephen Davies scouts very wide. Oh, Muffler's gone. That's on the English bike, the white one, I'd say, of Gary Havelock. Phil Crump leads. Stephen Davies to the outside. Phil Crump's got blue smoke spewing out the back of his bike. Now it's a red light because that muffler, I'd say, would still be on the track. And I'm pretty sure that that's Havelock's bike. And I'm pretty sure that he may be excluded from the event after that. But Phil Crump and Stephen Davies were positions 1 and 2 as they went to the back. Havelock now looking down at his bike. He has been excluded, Gary Havelock, so the Englishman is out. So we're just finding out if the reserve is permitted. No, the race has started, so the reserve will not be permitted to go in, so the Englishmen are down to 1 for the first race.
Well, it's bad luck. As Lady Luck, as I said just before the start of the race, not shining on the Englishman at the moment. An injury to Mark Lorham, their captain Jeremy Doncaster, who did so well in the World Final. I think, in fact, Jeremy might have even finished 3rd in the World Final. So fantastic performance, and he's had to urgently rush back to England. And now Gary Havelock, who comes in to take his place, loses a muffler and will be excluded from the race. So Lady Luck's certainly not on their side. So we've got to have the Englishman, Andy Galvin, has the whole weight of the English chances riding on his shoulders. He has to do it on his own. Naturally, he'll try and win the event. At best, he'll need to run second, otherwise the Australians will get away to a fabulous 5-1 maximum start. And I would say the Australians will be just as anxious to make a kill of the 5 points.
We can handle that, can't we, folks? Now Andy Calvin comes up into the 2. He's elected to go. He could have started out on the 4, but he's elected to split Crump and Davies, and they're all set for the restart. Oh, they nearly touched the tape. Stephen Davies, in fact, missed it. Goes up and does a mono, but Phil Crump leads them away. Oh, look at the champ go. The Australian captain, but Andy Galvin down on the inside is pressuring Crump for the lead, but Crump maintains. Crump leads into the 3rd term. Stephen Davies to the outside. He's challenging now Calvin for 2nd and 3rd. It's still Phil Crump leading after 1 lap. Calvin is 2nd, but Stephen Davies, using his immense track knowledge, dives for the inside, and he's got him. Stephen Davies, a beautiful ride. Phil Crump leads, Davies 2nd. Calvin has been shunted back to 3rd in a twinkling. Oh, Stephen Davies gave Calvin a cold when he went past him. Phil Crump leads into the last lap. Stephen Davies is providing the slipstream for Calvin, but Calvin won't be able to go. No, he's out. He's out. So it's going to be 5-0 to the Australians unless Calvin can limp round. Oh, 1-2 for Australia. Put your heads together. Phil Crump and Stephen Davies. Now, will Andy Calvin be able to get round for 1 point? I don't think so.
Oh, yes, vital. He'll have to push the bike home, in fact, to get 1 point, which he's entitled to do. He, in fact, has 2 minutes to finish after the other riders have finished. But this 1 point is vital for the English, and they can't drop any point at all. And Andy Calvin will at least push the bike home and deserves your support because Lady Luck is not shining on the Englishman tonight.
He made it. 1 point to the Englishman there. Andy Calvin just limps the bike over the line. So 5 points to Australia. Phil Crump was first in a time of 52.468.
So coming up in the yellow is Wilson. They'll have the 1 and 3 this time, the Englishman. He's got the Batman on the back of his bike, on the back wheel. And coming up in the red, Michael Poole. Australia has 2-4. Poole's going into the 2. Wiltshire goes into the 4. Now we're missing Paul Thorpe at the moment, and he's not going to make the start. There's only 30 seconds to go.
Not looking good for the Englishman because he must come around into this white area zone. He's only got 20 seconds to get there now, and he must make it, otherwise he's going to be excluded. And I'll tell you what, I reckon the others should get up towards the line too because, well, it looks like he's going to make it.
They've been in the start area, so getting back there to help him a little bit, Todd Wiltshire, so that doesn't put any pressure on Thorpe at all.
He made it by a second and a half.
Okay, he's still got a couple of adjustments to make to his kill switch and glove, checking his taps to see that they're turned on, and Thorpe will come up to the line for the second heat of the Tuies International Solo Test number 5. Australia leading by 5 points to 1 at the end of the first heat. Away they go in a cloud of smoke, and Thorpe got away well on the inside, so too did Poole. There's Wilson going up on the inside, and Wiltshire just got squeezed right out of it. And now the Englishmen are showing that they can fight straight back, and they've got a 5-1 situation unless Michael Poole, the Aussie, can split them up. Paul Thorpe has a look back to see where Sean Wilson is. He sees that he's in second place at the moment. Here's Poole diving up on the inside of Wilson, and the Aussie splits them up. But at least they're not going to get a 5-1 now. Can Wiltshire come at Wilson? Paul Thorpe is the leader. Michael Poole's giving him chase hard and strong. Wilson running third, and Wiltshire not riding well tonight. He doesn't seem to be picking a good line. Is trying desperately to get up and make it a 3-all for Australia. Thorpe is the leader. Poole is running second. Wilson coming under pressure from Wiltshire as they come into the final corner. Thorpe is going to come down and take the 3 points. Second place goes to Michael Poole. Wiltshire! Wiltshire got up and brought Wilson down over the line. A controversial finish, but Wiltshire got up and got Wilson right on the line. 50.963, stand by. Wilson's not going to be happy about that. The little fella is racing back to the pit area. He's hot under the collar. Paul Thorpe, 3 points for England. Michael Poole, 2 points for Australia. Now the judge says that officially Todd Wiltshire is third. He scores 1 point, and Sean Wilson failed to score. So Todd Wiltshire managed to make it a 3-all situation from the heat, and Australia will still have that very handy break. Australia 8, leading England 4 after 2 heats, but a much better performance by the Englishmen. And a very controversial finish with Wiltshire and Wilson colliding right on the line as Wiltshire came up on the inside of Wilson. After seeing just that little bit of daylight, Wiltshire went for it and got the point.
Here they come up for the third heat of the Tuies Test between England and Australia. Troy Butler keen to go. Chris Watson, the blue cloth cap. In the white, Steve Schofield, a great rider, 30 years of age. Ray Morton the outside, all set away they go. Steve Schofield got off to a beautiful start. Oh, lovely riding. He slips in front. In second position, Troy Butler now cutting back at him. Watson missed the start slightly, and Ray Morton is last. It's a 3-all situation as they come down to finish one lap, and Steve Schofield's on the bunny. Oh, Chris Watson scouted very high there. He nearly cropped onto the back of Butler's wheel, and Ray Morton is out the last. Oh, Troy Butler's in trouble. Chris Watson goes into second position. Butler cuts at him on the outside now. I think the guys are going to just have to hold down second and third because Steve Schofield's killing them. An arrogant look over the left shoulder for the English runner, and the number 5 for England, Steve Schofield, is showing them a clean pair of heels into the back for the last time. Chris Watson has got second bottled up. Troy Butler is third. Ray Morton can not answer the challenge at this stage, and Stephen Schofield salutes. Stephen Schofield is first, second is Chris Watson, third Troy Butler, and fourth is Morton. Good performance from Steve Schofield in a time of 51.100. 51-1 dead. 3 points to number 5 rider for England, Steve Schofield. 2 points to Chris Watson of Australia, and 1 point to Troy Butler of Australia, with Ray Morton failing to score. That completes the first round of heats. England 7, Australia 11. 11-7, the Aussies up by 4, mainly courtesy of that first heat when Crump and Davies got the 1-2. And I'm sure that the Englishmen are keen to bite back, and we'll soon see with Heat 4 coming up. In that, of course, you can take out Jeremy Doncaster and substitute in the white cloth cap Gary Havlock.
We feel like an Aussie win. Come on, fellas. Michael Poole and Todd Wiltshire doing it for Australia. Gary Havelock and Andy Galvin ready for the Englishman. Riders coming up to the line. Galvin on the inside. Havelock in the white. Wiltshire and Poole. They're up to the line. Getting set. Green. And racing. Wiltshire got away beautifully. Galvin tried to go up on the inside with him, but Wiltshire got the start. Michael Poole's going round the outside of Galvin. Galvin kicked up on the inside. Wiltshire for Australia leads the Englishman Galvin. Here comes Michael Poole riding up on the inside of Galvin, and Poole's doing well to go up into second place. Australia running 1-2. Galvin coming back on the outside of Poole. He's not going to give in, the little Englishman. He's chasing out after Poole, who got high, and straight through on the inside went Galvin. Once he got the opportunity, he grabbed it, and the Englishman goes up into second place. Wiltshire's the leader. Galvin looking to cart Poole. He had a look over his shoulder for his mate Havelock. He's going to have to do it all on his own to split these Aussies. It's the Englishman, the ham in the sandwich at the moment. Wiltshire's the leader. Galvin running second. Poole trying desperately to get back and see if he can make it a 5-1 for Australia. Round the outside of Galvin he comes. Wiltshire's the winner. They come to the line. There goes Galvin. I reckon Galvin's just got there in front of Poole, but that's the way I've seen it. Havelock was fourth, and we have had that confirmed by the judge that the Englishman Galvin just got home for second place. So the placings are official. Todd Wiltshire for Australia first. Andy Galvin for England second. Todd Wiltshire for Australia third. Michael Poole third. I've said Wiltshire twice. Michael Poole for Australia third. And Gary Havelock for England was fourth. On the TUI score chart, rider number 4, Todd Wiltshire for Australia, scores 3 points. His individual tally is 4. Rider number 2, Andy Galvin for England, scores 2 points. His individual tally is 3. Rider number 3 for Australia, Michael Poole, scored 1 point. His personal tally is 3. And Gary Havelock failed to score for the Englishman and is yet to open his account. It was 4-2 to Australia. Australia 15, England 9. Wiltshire first, Galvin second, Poole third, Havelock fourth, 51.795.
So the Australians are out, waiting to go. The Englishmen are a minute down on the 2-minute warning.
Just privy to a conversation. I've got the wrong microphone going here. I've got earphones, mics and everything going all directions. But privy to, again, a conversation between the English manager and the chief steward. The manager was a little unhappy about the start situation. I thought he was going to complain about the finishing positions, but the Poms did well on the finishing side of the scoreboard. He's a little worried about the unevenness of the starts at the moment. So the English manager,
In what way?
he believes that the riders are rolling at the start.
Uh-huh.
He's entitled to make his complaint. The chief steward told him that he felt it was a very fair start.
Oh.
And I'm keeping you informed as to what's happening.
It's obviously easier for him over the other side of the track to see what's going on over this side of the track. About set. Ready? Away they go. Thorpe got off to a beautiful start again. Paul Thorpe. He leads from Watson. Butler is third and Sean Wilson is fourth. The Australians in trouble early because Paul Thorpe has slipped away. Paul Thorpe leads by 20 metres. Chris Watson second, under pressure. Butler goes to the outside. He is third at the moment. Sean Wilson out of sorts tonight as fourth. It's England 1-4, Australia 2-3 as they go into the back half race distance. Paul Thorpe's on a maximum so far. This could be his second heat win, and there is nothing to suggest he won't get that. Troy Butler comes to the outside of Chris Watson in second and third positions at the moment, and Sean Wilson is fourth. Into the back for the last time they go. Paul Thorpe leading easily. It looks like Australia will finish 2-3 at this juncture. Chris Watson and Troy Butler are second and third. Followed in then by Sean Wilson. That's the way they'll finish. Oh, great ride, Paul Thorpe. A good time too. Paul Thorpe lead from Go Away. Second is Chris Watson. Third, Troy Butler. And fourth, Sean Wilson. 50.966. 50.966 the time for Heat 5. Go to the TUI score chart where we see Paul Thorpe for England, 3 points, 2 wins out of 2 starts. Second, Chris Watson of Australia, 2 points, and third, Troy Butler, 1 point. Sean Wilson yet to open his account. Currently the scoreboard sees England 12, Australia 18. 18-12, so Australia have gotten away to a 6-point lead at this moment, which is a pretty comprehensive lead after only 5 heats, 6 points, but there is plenty more action to go. There's 18 heats in all, 13 to go, and the English team perhaps depleted slightly tonight, but they're out there firing. Paul Thorpe, he likes it here at the Motordrome. This is his 3rd trip to Australia. And he performed very well last time. He had a couple of wins and a second. Tonight he's got 2 wins from 2 starts. So whenever he appears, England is certainly in with a good chance for all you British supporters out there. But the Australians, they've got the 2nd and 3rd wrapped up if they can't win. Watson and Butler performed that pretty well last heat. Watson and Butler ride very well together, actually. They seem to bottle up things if they can't have a chance of victory. And that's what it's all about. It's team riding for the TUI International Solo Test.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. One rider down low, the other rider up high, and once you get 2 riders wide on a speedway track, it's absolutely impossible for another rider to get past. He can't go inside, he can't go outside. I just wonder whether we've got any Pommy supporters out there. We've got any English supporters out there in our audience that are cheering the Poms on? Not a one. Well,
good.
That's great. We Aussies will just give them heaps if they're out there anyway.
What about the Australian supporters? Are they out there?
All right, we're set to go for an Aussie victory as we come to Heat 6, featuring Phil Crump and Stephen Davies for Australia, Steve Schofield and Ray Morton for the Englishmen. Now Schofield going into 1, Davies in 2, Morton is 3 with the green leathers, and Crump is 4. Away they go, a very even start. Davies lost it when the bike reared up on him, and the Englishmen have got away to a good start. Crump is looking to round them up on the outside. Schofield's the leader. Morton is second. Crump coming up on the outside of Morton, looking for second spot and getting it. And Davies made a bad start just at the tail of the field. Schofield the leader. Crump up into second place. Now the Englishmen are desperate to hang on to the 4-2 situation, but Davies might have something to say about that. Morton is the man in the hot seat. Here comes Davies at him at the tail of the field. Schofield's the leader. Crump's running second. Morton third. Davies trying to get up on the inside of Morton to take third place away. Davies working overtime on Morton. Morton holding on to the Englishman. Davies comes up on the inside and Davies has nailed him. And the Australians managed to level the heat. Here's Crump making a fly at Schofield in the last metres of the race too, but Schofield comes home first. Second place goes to Crump. Third goes to Davies. And fourth to Morton. And the time 51.567. Oh, very good heat. Heat 6, where Stephen Schofield rode brilliantly for the Englishmen in an attempt to put them right back in the race. He scored the 3 points for England. Phil Crump for Australia finished second and scored 2 points. But then Stephen Davies managed to upset the English apple cart by grabbing third place in the last lap and scoring the 1 point. And Ray Morton, who tried so very hard to keep hold of that 1 point, was unable to do so.
Butler and Watson versus Havelock and Calvin. All set, ready. Away they go. Calvin, in fact, missed the start. Troy Butler didn't. Oh, gee, they're tight into the first turn. Havelock's going better this time. Nearly took Watson off the track, and Chris Watson's down and into the fence. He's okay, though, and on his feet. Troy Butler leads as they come down off turn 4 of the first time. He leads from Havelock. Third is Calvin, and the Australians are leading at the moment with Troy Butler. He's going okay too as he swings into the back. You'll certainly notice that Watson is out of the race. But Watson will still go around the track, just in case one of the Englishmen have some trouble. He'll try and get a point for Australia. That doesn't look like the case at the moment because Troy Butler is leading. He leads from Havelock. Calvin down on the inside. The Englishman will be just looking to get the points out of this race. Butler leads into the back. Half a lap to go. He won't do any flash time either. Troy Butler, though, for Australia is going to bottle up the win. Troy Butler comes down to take the checkered flag in a good performance. Second in the race goes Gary Havelock, and third was Andy Calvin. Chris Watson had the fall. Well, good win by Troy Butler there in the time of 52.237. 52.237. He led from barrier to box. Troy Butler, 3 points for Australia in the first bracket of the third round heats. Second to the Englishman, Gary Havelock, his first points for the night. And third to Andy Galvin, number 1. Chris Watson failed to finish, so he doesn't score a point. He took that tumble in the first turn. First and second turns, 52.237. A good performance. Now the score would be England 18, Australia 24.
Still 6 points the difference, and the Englishman trying hard to peg back that 6-point gap. So heat 8 is coming up. Crump and Davies for Australia, Thorpe and Wilson for England. This is a good clash between Crump, Davies and Thorpe in particular. Thorpe in fact has had 2 rides, 2 wins so far tonight. In fact he's the only, no, Paul Thorpe and Steve Schofield, both unbeaten riders at this stage. So strangely enough, 2 Englishmen unbeaten, yet they're not leading on the scoreboard. That's why this is a team's affair. So important to ride as a pairing. Crump and Davies have done pretty well as a pair. Davies in particular making sure that he at least keeps himself on the scoreboard. That's the vital thing to do. Keep on the board. Now Wilson coming up, a little bit disappointed with his form on this tour. It's certainly not the form that he showed last tour, just a little off the pace. Thorpe riding very well though. Away they go, and it was Crump who got away well in the centre. Thorpe trying to go up on the inside. Then comes Wilson, and Davies has missed the start again and has to chase out after them. 3-all at the moment with the Australian Phil Crump the leader. There's Wilson starting to show a little more form and go up and keep on the outside of Thorpe, and that's where they're going to stay. Look at Thorpe looking around. He knows how to ride this team stuff. Paul Thorpe had a look all over the place for Wilson and said, "Where are you, mate?" And now Wilson's coming up on the inside. Thorpe's going to ride just about 2/3 track if he can and bring Wilson up on the inside of him. Look at him looking. Get up on the inside, he's saying to Wilson. I'll ride about 2/3 track. You take it down low and let's keep this Aussie out. But Wilson's drifted up again. Wilson not getting the call from his captain, and he's blown it one more time. Phil Crump is the leader. Thorpe rode brilliantly to try and protect Wilson, but couldn't do it. Paul Thorpe's done everything but carry Wilson over the line. Davies has run third. Wilson has finished fourth, 51.001. And that'd be disappointing for the England captain because whilst we can't take anything away from a great 4-2 for Australia, really speaking, Thorpe did everything but carry Sean Wilson across the line in third place that time. He gave him the indication that he was going to ride about 2/3 track, that he wanted him to come up on the inside of him and give Davies no chance of coming through on the inside. And lo and behold, what happened? Wilson drifted up high and Davies came through and, as I said, keeps himself on the scoreboard. Phil Crump for Australia, 3 points. Paul Thorpe for England, 2 points. Stephen Davies for Australia, 1 point. And Wilson failed to score, and in 3 rides hasn't got a point on the board, and that's what's costing England at the moment. Just picking up that 1 point that's so important. So Australia now lead by 8 points, and now the Englishmen starting to look at a very serious situation. Australia 28, England 20 at the end of the 8th heat. Heat 9 will bring us to the halfway mark. Michael Poole and Todd Wiltshire for Australia, Steve Schofield, who's ridden unbeaten tonight, and Ray Morton for England. Morton goes in Mark Lorham's place. But if you ever wanted to see a fine exhibition of attempted teams riding, that was it from Paul Thorpe that time. He really gave an indication as to what teams racing is all about. Have a look for your teammate, work out who's going to ride down low, who's going to ride up high. Thorpe was happy to ride up high, and I think that was a smart move too, because he was the form man. All he wanted to do was just have Wilson keep the low line, and he couldn't do it.
Yeah, must concur there, Ross. Thorpe has ridden very well at the Motordrome here this season, and Sean Wilson has been out of sorts. Perhaps the barley belly for him. This will be a great clash between Todd Wiltshire and Steve Schofield in the next heat. Michael Poole will have the inside draw, and Ray Morton, who is yet to get on the scorecard, as is Sean Wilson. Morton has the chance here. Morton was third for a long way in the last heat, until he was overtaken, I think, by Stephen Davies. Yeah. Just about set. Watch the Englishman in the white cap, Schofield, get off to a start. Ready. Just telling Poole to get back off the line. All set. Away they go. Stephen Schofield, easy off the line. Intestinal fortitude goes to the lead. But look at Wiltshire and Poole come at him. It's still Schofield leading. Michael Poole flying at Schofield on the outside. He's just about got him into the first turn. They come down the main straight away. Stephen Schofield clears out. Big Poole to the outside. Todd Wiltshire, a beautiful line to the insiders coming out after him. And Ray Morton is languishing in last spot at the moment. Wiltshire is out of sorts tonight here at the Motordrome, and Stephen Schofield leads. Schofield under pressure though from Poole. Poole is coming out after him now. Next to him was Wiltshire, followed him in by Morton in last spot. Into the last lap they go. Stephen Schofield in front, slowing. Here comes Michael Poole. Michael Poole goes to Schofield. He gets him with a wheel on him. Stephen Schofield leads. Poole the outside, and Schofield and Poole. Poole comes to the inside. Schofield's going to hang on. And Schofield wins by a length. Oh, Michael Poole, I think he might have been in a bit of trouble there coming into turn 4. He went so hard, but a great performance there by Stephen Schofield to hold off and beat Poole by a length. Todd Wiltshire ran third with Ray Morton fourth. Oh, he's still on the maximum, Steve Schofield, in a time of 51.012. 51.012. Steve Schofield from England first, keeping their hopes alive. Michael Poole for Australia second, Todd Wiltshire third, and Ray Morton fourth. Go to your TUI score chart. Stephen Schofield 3 points, Ray Morton 0, Michael Poole 2 points, Todd Wiltshire 1. Halfway point of the TUI's International Solo Test. We see England 23, Australia 31.
We're all set and ready to fly with the second half of the test match. Can the Aussies really rub salt into the wound? What do you reckon? You betcha. We're going to rub salt right into the wound. Australia leading by 31 points to 23 at this stage of the test. Phil Crump and Stephen Davies will take us into this heat for Australia, and Gary Havelock and Andy Galvin will carry the Pommy Hopes.
So they're coming up the line now. Andy Calvin on the inside. Gary Havelock on the inside. Andy Calvin in the yellow. Stephen Davies and Phil Crump about set. Away they go too. Calvin missed the start slightly. Stephen Davies got off to a beautiful start, and Phil Crump goes into second. Australia 1-2. Stephen Davies, well, he's been slow starting tonight and also the other night for the New South Wales title, but if ever is the time that he needs to go quickly, it's right now, and he's still hang them. Phil Crump is second. They've given these Pommy Blokes a bath. Andy Kelvin and Gary Havelock are languishing. Stephen Davies in front at halfway distance. This could be a 5-1 to Australia. Phil Crump bottles up the inside. Great riding from Crump. Davies the outside. Crump the inside. Oh, Havelock's out of the race. Andy Calvin's the only one that can stall for the Englishman, but look at the Aussies. Go, Aussie, go. Stephen Davies and Phil Crump, give them a cheer. Great team riding. The Australians 1-2. Oh, yeah. Stephen Davies in the blue on the outside, the victor. Second is Phil Crump. And third, Andy Galvin with Havelock failing to finish. 51.193 the time. 51.193 the time. Go to your TUI scoreboard where you see Stephen Davies 3 points, his first victory tonight. Second to Phil Crump 2 points, great riding from the captain, 2 first and 2 seconds. And third the Englishman going to Andy Calvin with Gary Havelock failing to finish. The score at the moment, England 24, Australia 36. 12 points.
An urgent message for Fred Hall Jr. to report to the bottom of the control tower, please. An urgent message for Fred Hall Jr. to report to the bottom of the control tower, please. Urgently.
See, I tell you what, Ross, this English team is certainly depleted tonight. They're just not firing. I mean, 12 points, it's a big margin,
This is the problem with the tournament. Admittedly, these riders riding for Australia, now Stephen Davies, Michael Poole, Troy Butler and Phil Crump. Now, they rode in Brisbane on Wednesday night, so they've had some travelling to do as well. But this is a problem for the Englishmen that unless Lady Luck shines on them right through the series, if they start to have problems, they can really feel the pinch. Now, that is part of the excuse, but the Englishmen nonetheless will be trying their hearts out. But tremendous teams riding. That was just the way a team should ride. Remember, Stephen Davies has ridden for Australia in the World Cup in Europe, and they got through Group B. They qualified for Group A. They got through Group B all right, qualified for Group A.
But look how keen the Australians are at the moment. They're the first out on the grid all the time. We are seeing at the moment Wiltshire and Poole out there. The Englishmen are slow. The 2 minutes has been up on them all night. They're only just making it in some quarters. And they are really at 6s and 7s at the moment, and I don't think there is a hope in Hades of the Englishmen getting back, and I think this could be a big whitewash tonight for the Australians.
Well, here's the fellow who can ride, Paul Thorpe, rides for the Bradford Club in England. In fact, the world title will be decided at the Odsall Stadium in Bradford next year. September the 2nd is the date for the world final. So this is Heat 11. Michael Poole and Todd Wiltshire. Well, they could really sink the nail in the coffin of the Englishmen here. They're 12 points down, the Englishmen. Stand by as we go into the TUI solo test, Heat 11. And Wiltshire getting away well, but so too did Thorpe. Now I wonder, will Thorpe have a look for his teammate Wilson this time? Thorpe is the leader, but Wiltshire going up on the inside of him. Now Thorpe will have to battle for the lead, and Thorpe goes to the lead. Thorpe leads away from Wiltshire, followed by Poole and Wilson. Now Thorpe had a look. He sees that he's got his hands full with Wiltshire. He said, wow, this Aussie boy can ride, and Wiltshire got up on the inside, and Thorpe has lost the lead now. He'll try hard to come back on the outside of Wiltshire, but that's the hard way to do it. I don't think the Pom can win on the outside. He's had a look back for Michael Poole, but he said, I better put my mind on the job here. Wiltshire's got the lead. If Poole grabs Thorpe here, this could be real problems for the Englishman. Wiltshire's the leader. Thorpe trying desperately to hang on to second place. Michael Poole making a dive at him in the closing stages of the race, but Wiltshire's first. Thorpe is second. Poole is third, and Wilson is fourth. Time 51.002. Todd Wiltshire for Australia first. Paul Thorpe for England second. Michael Poole for Australia third. Sean Wilson for England fourth. 51.002 for heat 11. On our 2E scoreboard, Todd Wiltshire for Australia scores 3 points. Paul Thorpe for England scores 2 points. Michael Poole for Australia scores 1 point. And Sean Wilson has failed to score and just can't get a point on the board, proving very costly for England. 4-2 in the heat for Australia. They increase their lead. Australia 40, England 26. It's now a 14-point deficit with 7 heats to go. Not impossible for England to win, but the pressure is now right on. They've got to start winning heats on the scoreboard. If they don't start winning heats on the scoreboard now, it's good night from me and good night from him, as the two Ronnies would say.
Perhaps if we tipped Australia, England might get up. I think that's the only way at the moment, Ross. But look, the Australians are first out onto the track again. They are keen to go. The Englishmen are in tatters.
Certainly are. I wonder whether they might even be considering putting their reserve Peter Chapman in.
And I wonder at this stage whether the Australians are considering giving Sean Wilmot a run.
Yeah, gee, that'd be great to see Sean get a crack. Former Englishman up against his rivals that he used to ride against in British League. But we've got Schofield coming out for the Englishman. He has ridden well tonight. I'll take nothing away from him. They just seem to lack a little bit of depth, the Englishmen. We've got Thorpe riding well, Schofield riding well, but they're just not getting support from fellows like Morton and Wilson to get points on the board.
Yeah, Wilson's yet to score a point. The Australians very consistent though. Every Australian that has a victory so far except for Poole and Watson. Watson's got 2 seconds, so has Poole. Watson's got the chance to increase on that here. He's got Schofield on his inside, but Watson likes it on the outside. He might go well here, just about set. Butler keen to go. They're holding them at the start. Set. Oh, away they go. Schofield, another beautiful start. He anticipates and takes well. Watson goes to the outside. Up he's well. And look at Troy Butler and Watson. Oh, boy. They were within a hair of touching there. Unbelievable that they didn't touch. Now Morton's got the chance of getting up on the inside. See there, Ty, throw a blanket over them as they go out of the straight for the second time. Oh, Morton's blown it again. Butler goes through to second. Watson third, but Steve Schofield showing them the way to go. Steve Schofield on a maximum here tonight, but look at Troy Butler go. Butler to the outside. Watson has the inside in the blue and Morton is last. Steve Schofield goes into the back for the last time, a clear-cut leader. Butler and Watson, they'll be content for second and third. Watson has a look over his shoulder. He sees Morton nowhere to be found. And Stephen Schofield on a maximum. Put your hands together, a top ride. Stephen Schofield first. Chris Watson sneaks up into second over compatriot Troy Butler third. And Ray Morton yet to score a point. The number 6 rider for England fourth. And a good time too. That could be the quickest time tonight, I think. It certainly is. 50.768. 50.768 the time. A good performance by Stephen Schofield. Go to the 2E scoreboard. That takes him on to 12 points tonight. A great performance. 4 threes. Ray Morton nil. Chris Watson another second spot, the bridesmaid tonight. And Troy Butler a 1-pointer. After the 4th round of heats, we see Australia, here we go, 43. Australia 43, England 29, a 14-point deficit with 6 heats to go. So by my reckoning, England would need 4 or 5 runners to hit the front.
Yeah, it's a big ask, isn't it, particularly with the depth of the side at the moment. But, gee, the little Englishman, Steve Schofield, riding really well tonight. He's actually on a maximum, and it'll be a fantastic thing to go through a test match in a losing side and score a maximum.
And he's the only one that can get it, too, at the moment.
Incredible effort if he can manage that. This just goes to show that he's lacked some support from his teammates, in particular Sean Wilson and Ray Morton, who's come into the side.
Well, I think, Ross, what the Englishmen are going to have to do now is give Chapman a go, and I think the one that they should perhaps rest will be Wilson. He's just not racing well enough tonight, and if he's not racing well enough, I'm sure they must give Chapman the opportunity to have a go.
Well, I'd agree with that, and probably in heat 14 we might see that, where Paul Thorpe, who's the captain and riding well, might be able, if he can get some support from Chapman, to start putting the Englishman back on the scoreboard, and that'd be the heat where they'd need to do it.
That's all he needs is some support, Paul Thorpe, that's for sure. Pretty lonesome job out there up against these 6 Australians on fire tonight, and one of them that's on fire coming up now is Todd Wiltshire.
Don't forget, we've got plenty more racing left on our program after the test match heats. We have the Formula 500s and the leader sprints and the sidecars as well. And after the heats of the test match, stay with us and enjoy the four-wheel program. The Englishman in trouble now, 1 minute and 15 seconds gone, less than 45 seconds to go. Well, 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Well, this will test everyone out, I suppose. The marshals, the judges, the chief referee.
There's an Englishman. Looks like Gary Havelock, waiting on Andy Galvin. Well, he's been laid out all night. Eventually, he's going to miss the bus.
Well, if I was the Australians, Ross, I'd be rubbing salt into the wounds right now. I'd be up on the start gate ready to go. If the Englishmen aren't going to be there, why not take advantage of it?
Yeah, fair enough. I remember so well the great Ollie Olsen, who rode here at the Motordrome some years ago, a world champion, a fantastic rider, and what a professional he was. He would just come round to the start line, sit there and wait. There was no mucking around with him. Straight round to the start, I'm ready to go, to heck what the rest of you fellows are doing. He was ready to get on with the show. Right now, we've got heat 13. Is this going to be lucky or unlucky for the Poms? Michael Poole and Todd Wiltshire for Australia. Gary Havelock, Andy Galvin for the Englishmen. Up to the line. Set. Away they go. Getting away well on the inside was Poole, and Wiltshire going out quickly with him, and the Australians have gone 1-2. Oh, the Englishmen looking at a real big score here as far as the Australians are concerned. But here comes Galvin to try and do something about it. But the Australians riding shoulder to shoulder. Wiltshire down low. Poole's got the track covered up high. Wiltshire's content to just let him drift away a little bit, because that's the way to ride as a team. If your lead rider is riding up high, second rider should tuck down low. And look at Wiltshire, he's doing it beautifully. They're riding as a superb pair. Poole out wide, Wiltshire down low. There's no way in the world a rider can get past them while they're doing that. But in fact, the Englishmen are starting to lose touch. Oh, here's a great combination. Two fine. Oh, Wiltshire's in trouble. He's decked it. No, he got up off the ground somehow. Oh, gee. Poole first, Wiltshire second, gave me a heart attack. I didn't see who finished third. Havelock got up for third, I understand. Down the page, 1, 2, 3, 4, says the judge, 51.599. Oh, I thought Todd Wiltshire, it looked as if the bike had died on him and it was just falling away from underneath him. Here I am giving them big raps, turning on a fine team riding performance, which they did in the long run. Michael Poole for Australia first, Todd Wiltshire for Australia second, Gary Havelock for England third, Andy Galvin for England fourth, 51.599 in heat 13. And on our Tui's scoreboard, Michael Poole for Australia 3 points, Todd Wiltshire for Australia 2 points, Gary Havelock for England 1 point, Andy Galvin failed to score. So it was 5-1 for Australia in the heat, and they now clear away to an 18-point margin. Australia 48, England 30. 48 to 30, and I wonder if the Australians have got the killer instinct in them to go on with it and really drive the nail home. Oftentimes it doesn't happen. They tend to relax and realise they've got a big lead. Let's see, we've got 5 heats to go. England would have to win every heat 5-1 to win the test match.
Well, so Todd Wiltshire might have been a victim of that last heat, perhaps.
This heat will really tell the difference for England. If they can't get in front of Australia here with at least a 4-2, their chances are out the window.
Okay. Troy
I don't
Butler.
like the way Chris Watson and Butler have been riding together tonight.
They've been getting second and third, but that's about it. They've always had an Englishman in front, whether it be Paul Thorpe or Stephen Schofield.
It just doesn't seem to me that they've got a tactic prior to the race. It seems that 1 minute Watson's in front, then next minute Butler's in front, and they tend to be racing each other rather than looking for a team effort. But still, that might be the plan. They might have just decided, look, you fellows just go for it, and we'll rely on the other combinations to pick up our scoring.
There'll be some rivalry in the camp too. Who knows? Paul Thorpe's up against this lot though this time. Butler and Watson and Sean Wilson. Well, I'm a bit surprised that he's out there. I thought they might have given Chapman a chance to get some points for the Englishman. I tell you what, if Sean Wilson doesn't score this time, I think he will be in trouble to have a final ride tonight. All set. Look at Paul Thorpe. Professional starter. Away he goes. A beautiful start. The bike just popped a bit. Troy Butler got away okay too. Chris Watson actually missed the start and Sean Wilson's there. Now we'll see what Thorpe does, whether he'll look for Wilson or not. Now if Sean Wilson's going to do any good tonight, he should be able to keep clear of Watson. Troy Butler just missed it momentarily there. Sean Wilson coming up to try and scout for second. Paul Thorpe leads out of the straight for the second time. Paul Thorpe leads them into the back at half race distance. Now Sean Wilson clicks into another gear. He goes out after Troy Butler. Sean Wilson is trying hard. Oh, Chris Watson nearly got cratted off there, and Wilson gets up on the inside. Troy Butler's out of the race. He's coming back at him now on the outside. Oh, Troy Butler, who was gone for a minute, but he shoots around the outer side. Sean Wilson's just not doing enough tonight. Perhaps he's got jet lag from Brisbane. Paul Thorpe comes down, takes a checkered flag, and a good performance. Watson dives, missed Sean Wilson by a length for third. Troy Butler split those for second position, but another great ride by Paul Thorpe wins. You can't take much away from Paul Thorpe, but you'll understand if we're concentrating on Sean Wilson because he is just not doing enough to help his teammates out tonight. He was lucky there, though. He scored his first point of the night running third, even though Chris Watson came at him in the last little bit only to go down by a length. Watson missed the start there, and Troy Butler ran second. The time was 51.513. 51.513. Go to the TUI scoreboard. We give 3 points to Paul Thorpe, 3 wins and 2 seconds tonight. A great performance by him. 1 point to Sean Wilson, his first, and 2 points to Troy Butler. Chris Watson missing out. The score at the moment is 50 to 34. 50 to 34. The Australians lead by 16 points. And with a possible, what have we got, 4 heats to go, so a possible 20 points to the Englishmen. They would need to win 5-1 for the rest to win by a point.
Yeah, they've got to win by 5-1 to draw level, haven't they? 5-1 will only draw them level. They get 20. Yep. They draw level. So they've got to get 5-1s all the way. As soon as they don't run first, second, it's Australia's test match for the night. So they're sitting pretty, the Australians. But it, as I said, it oftentimes now develops into, do you sit back and relax and coast home? Do you really do one of my favourite sportsmen, Heather Mackay, grind them into the dirt? Now
do what Alan Border did to the Poms this year in England. Grind them into the dirt.
15th heat, Crump and Davies for Australia, Schofield and Morton for the English side. It'll be a great clash here. Schofield up against Crump and Davies. The start will be important. Can the little Englishman keep his unbeaten record intact? We'll see. Which one of the Aussies can knock him from the pedestal? Will it be Crump? Will it be Davies? Away they go. Oh, tape didn't go up on the outside. The outside tape did not go up. Complete restart. No problem for the riders. The outside tape failed to release, which meant that Morton had nowhere to go but to ride straight into him. And away they go. Again, Schofield got the start, and he's trying to ride unbeaten tonight. Now Crump's the Australian rider to get out after him, and Davies riding up high on the track, and Morton at the tail of the field. The little fella, Stephen Schofield, has the lead. Here comes Crump. Crump coming at him on the outside. Schofield down low for England. Crump up high for Australia. Crump trying to come at Schofield. Schofield trying to keep an unbeaten record intact tonight, despite the fact that the Englishmen are well behind in this test match. Here comes Phil Crump trying to ruin the Steve Schofield maximum, and Crump comes at him on the outside. Schofield on the inside. Oh, but Crump's given him the go-by. And the former national champion, Phil Crump, has blasted the Steve Schofield unbeaten record down to take the checkered flag, and the Aussies have done it. Phil Crump is first. Schofield makes the dive, but can't get back at him. Crump is first. Schofield is second. Davies is third. Morton is fourth. And a time of 51.137. Oh, great racing and tremendous rivalry. Schofield tried desperately to keep his unbeaten record intact, but he couldn't do it.
And that's the test.
That's the test match to Australia. The Englishmen needed 5-1 there. That'll wrap it up for Australia. They're going to coast home now. Phil Crump for Australia first. Steve Schofield for England second. Stephen Davies for Australia third. Ray Morton for England fourth. 51.137 on the Tooheys scoreboard. Phil Crump 3 points. Stephen Schofield for England 2 points. Stephen Davies for Australia 1 point. And Ray Morton failed to score. Is yet to open his account in the test match. And so with a 4-2 situation there to Australia, Australia go to 54 points, England 36. So that's an 18-point deficit. Only 3 heats remain. The Englishmen cannot bridge the gap. The Australians have virtually wrapped the test match up with still 3 heats to go, which goes to show their dominance tonight. They've dominated the test, but take nothing away from Steve Schofield. He's tried his heart out all night to do well for the Englishman. He's certainly been the man of the match for the British Lions from my point of view, well supported by Paul Thorpe, and without those 2 riders it certainly would have been a dismal old night for the Englishman. Coming up to Heat 16, one change on the program. Doncaster is out and Havelock is in.
Troy Butler and Chris Watson coming out for Australia. Gary Havelock and Andy Calvin, the Englishmen. It's about set. They've brought them up to the line now. Watson and Butler look keen. Oh, Chris Watson will be excluded. Touch the tape. Oh, bad luck for Watson. Now the reserve rider can come in. That will mean Sean Wilmot for the Australians. The Englishman just talking, Havelock and Calvin. See, Troy Butler was pretty lucky there not to go as well. He was right up on the tape, but he's okay. But Sean Wilmot now has the chance to come in. He's under the 2-minute warning. The reserve rider, of course, can come in at the exclusion before the race actually starts. So we'll see Sean Wilmot in his debut under the boxing kangaroo.
So just having a look at the scoreboard, we can confirm that Chris Watson's night has ended with an exclusion for tape touching. He'll finish his individual score chart with 6 points. 6 points from his 5 rides, or is it 6 rides? And Sean Wilmot will come in to take his place with the test match wrapped up to Australia. Australia 54, England 36. 3 heats to go and plenty more racing to come too. Formula 500s, leader sprints, sidecars. After the test match and after we've spoken to the victorious team and the losers, Australia putting a stranglehold on the series by winning this test match tonight.
And here he is for the first time on Australian soil under his new country's colours. It's Sean Wilmot. On the track, give him a warm round of applause as he comes down to represent his new country for the first time against the old British Lion. This will be a very proud moment for Sean. Second in the New South Wales Championship, the Sod Wheelchair. Oh, and the bike's decked out in Australian colours too. Wowee. In his familiar black leathers. Just about set. Away they go. Sean Wilmot got off to a beautiful start, but Gary Havelock on the inside in front, and Wilmot goes to the lead. Troy Butler the outside. It's Australia 1-2. Troy Butler crosses over in front of Wilmot. It's Havelock and Calvin, who've probably been the most disappointing English pair tonight, languishing in last. Wilmot has a peep over the left shoulder. Butler in front. Wilmot second. In third it's Havelock. Fourth is Calvin. Wilmot goes to the inside, and Wilmot takes the lead. Sean Wilmot in his first appearance for Australia tonight leads. Butler now cuts back at him on the outside. Brilliant team racing for the Australians. They're having a look at each other. They can just about shake hands. It's all over. Shut the shop. Gary Havelock and Andy Calvin can do no better. Wilmot the inside. Troy Butler will let him win this. You can bet your life on that. Havelock and Calvin second and third. Wilmot and Butler come round. Sean Wilmot's going to score in his first appearance for Australia. Sean Wilmot first. Troy Butler second. The Australians are too good. Havelock was third and Calvin was fourth, and the time a pretty good one, 51.913. Sean Wilmot, his first ride for Australia in victory. So, first was Wilmot, second Butler, third was Havelock, Calvin fourth, 51.913. Go to your two-year scoreboard, 3 points for Sean Wilmot, 2 points for Troy Butler, and 1 point for Gary Havelock. Now, Havelock finishes the evening with 4 points. Wilmot, of course, has the 3. 10 points for Troy Butler, and Andy Calvin finishes with 5. So, heat 16 is completed. And there are only 2 heats to go in the test. Australia 59, whitewashing England 37. I'm not sure, Ross, what the score was in Brisbane the other night, but we believe it was a pretty big win to Australia. I think they may have even improved on it tonight. We're just not quite sure what the score was, but well, this could basically wrap up the series for Australia tonight. They've got a 3-1 lead, and with only 2 tests to go, they only need to win one of those to completely wrap it up, and the worst they can have is a drawn series. So Australia is doing a great job. And with 2 heats to go, they've got tonight's wrapped up.
That score in Brisbane was Australia 62, England 46, so they're on a bigger hiding at the moment. They've still got 2 heats to go, and the 62-46 was a big win to the Australians in Brisbane, and it looks as if they're going to, in fact, break that record tonight. Australia 59, England 37, Heat 17 coming up. Phil Crump and Stephen Davies for Australia. Let's have a look. They're both on the track. One English rider on the track at the moment, and that's Sean Wilson. And we're waiting on the English captain, Paul Thorpe, to come out and take his place. Coming out of the pit gate now. Last appearance for Crump and Davies. Tonight's scoreboard. Crump scoring well, and Davies, all important. If you have a look at his scoreboard, he's just kept picking up points all the way through the night, and that's what a pairing should do. Wilson, Davies, Thorpe and Crump. I think the Englishman might be trying pretty hard here too to get up to them. Getting set. And racing now. The outside tape has failed to go again. Red light. The outside tape. Stephen Davies and Phil Crump come into line. Wilson and Thorpe set. Away they go. Oh, Thorpe missed the start completely on the outside, and Davies got away best of all. Wilson goes up on the inside. Now here's Crump coming up on the outside of Wilson. Crump trying to get round the outside of Wilson to make it another 5-1 for Australia, and look at Crumpy come at him on the outside. Davies on the inside, Crump on the outside. He's a master, Phil Crump. He's been riding for ages, or so it seems, and he just doesn't lose touch at all. What a brilliant solo rider Phil Crump is. He goes to the lead on the outside of Davies. That doesn't worry him. He's just going to ride high. Looks for Davies on the inside, but in fact he's got so much pace he's going away from Davies. But he'll ride high on the track. He'll stay up there. He'll keep Davies down low so that if Wilson tries to pass, he's got no chance whatsoever, and he is a master. That's the form of a master. Phil Crump is first. Davies comes home second, and third place goes to Sean Wilson. Bad luck for Paul Thorpe. His first spot of bad luck for the night. He had motor trouble and failed to finish. 51.512. Phil Crump, Australia first. Stephen Davies, Australia second. Sean Wilson, England third. Paul Thorpe failed to finish. 51.512 the time. Now on the Tui's international scoreboard, Phil Crump for Australia scores 3 points. Stephen Davies for Australia scores 2 points. Sean Wilson for England scores 1 point. And Paul Thorpe failed to score. So it was a 5-1 to Australia, and that already takes them past their Brisbane Test score. 64 points to 38. 64-38. A mammoth lead to the Australian side with one heat to go.
And Ross, you have a look at the pairing of Crump and Davies tonight. Between them, they've scored 26 out of a possible 30 points in what races they've contested. So they've only given 4 away to the competitors, and that's really been one of the big differences tonight.
Big difference, there's no doubt about that, and Crump has just shown us what a brilliant rider he is. He's won the national championship a number of times. I wouldn't know exactly how many. He's been in world finals a number of times, world teams cups a number of times. A great rider, Phil Crump, and he just doesn't seem to us. I go right back to the first time when he and Neil Street put together that 4-valve. I'm sure it was a 4-valve bike that they put together. The Neil Street Phil Crump combination, we can remember from some time ago, was a revolutionary engine, and Crumpy was sort of on top of the world at that time.
And speaking to Phil earlier on this season, you know, he's almost racing in the best form of his career this year. He certainly had a resurgence in the sport. He's shown it here once again tonight with 16 points out of a maximum of 18. 4 heat wins, 2 seconds to the master, the Australian captain, Phil Crump. The last heat is coming out now for Tui's, the International England versus Australia Test number 5. Heat 18, Michael Poole and Todd Wiltshire. Wiltshire's had an in-and-out sort of a night. And Michael Poole, victorious in the last heat, coming up against a great rider from England, Steve Schofield. Himself and Paul Thorpe have held the team together tonight. And Ray Morton, he'll be looking for his first victory tonight. Peter Chapman didn't get a start, unfortunately for him. It's been a long ride, a long trip to Australia for nothing tonight. Oh, Wiltshire nearly touched the tape. He came off it, and away they go. They left as one. But Steve Schofield off the inside gate got away to a good start. Todd Wiltshire to the outside. Mick Poole is wide. Next in was Ray Morton in last position. Oh, look at them closing on the leader, Schofield. Firstly, it's on the outside, Mick Poole. In the inside, it's Todd Wiltshire. Wiltshire goes to second. Now he crisscrosses the leader. He goes down after Stephen Schofield, the Pommy in front. It's Wiltshire in second spot. Poole third, Morton fourth. That's the way they travel up the back for the second time. Stephen Schofield in front. Todd Wiltshire, he's not quite on tune tonight. Mick Poole the inside. They're bottling down second and third, all right, the Australians. There's little interest in this heat apart from the winner, and Ray Morton has dropped out to last. But Stephen Schofield will cap off a very satisfying performance for himself tonight, even though it wasn't for his countrymen. But put your hands together for the little English master. It's Stephen Schofield first, and he's happy. Second for the Australians was Todd Wiltshire. Third was Michael Poole, and fourth was Ray Morton. And a good time too, 50. the time. 50.914 in heat 18 go to the TUI scoreboard. Stephen Schofield, great performance tonight. Show your appreciation. 5 wins and a second for Schofield. 17 points. Second was Todd Wiltshire, 2 points. That gives him 12 points for the meeting. And third to Michael Poole, 1 point. 10 points for the meeting. Ray Morton, unfortunately for him, failed to score. Peter Chapman didn't get a ride. And the final score. Backside, Australians led by Phil Crump, the new FM courtesy vehicle. Here they are, folks, the Australian winning test team.
Well, thank you, Sean. The riders coming round to the presentation area, and I'll get the chance to have a chat to them. The Australians certainly deserving your applause because they have ridden so very well tonight, and I know it's been a great team performance. I'll get the chance to have a chat with their captain, Phil Crump, as the Australians come down. We'll complete their circuit a little later. Phil, congratulations to you and the Australian side. A very, very convincing victory.
Yes, everybody rode pretty well, and, well, I suppose we won the series, but I'm sure the next 2 tests possibly won't be this easy. They've got another Kelvin Tatum coming out from England for the final 2 meetings, so he'll put a real bite in their team, but certainly the Australian riders rode terrific.
You don't need a real bite. You're going better than I've ever seen you go. What are you, on the Vitabrits or Nutrigrain?
I know, I'm lucky enough to have a fantastic sponsor, and I've got some terrific bikes this year, and got Sam Ermolenko's engines that he was going to use in the world final, and I've got his mechanic Carl out here helping me, and my boy Jason, he's as keen as mustard, so all of that is making me go a bit better, I suppose.
Crumpy, we've got a very good side at the moment, and we're very proud of the Newcastle boys who are in it. They're riding really well.
They certainly are, especially Todd. He's going to go a long way in Speedway, and I hate to say it, but I suppose he's got to be one of the favourites for the Australian Championship in a couple of weeks.
Okay, good luck to the Australian side. I would like to have a word with Sean Wilmot. Sean, will you come over for the moment, please? Ladies and gentlemen, he got his ride. Now you can let him know that you are happy that he got his 3 points too. I didn't get the chance to speak to you at the presentation, Sean, but I bet it was a proud moment for you to be wearing the boxing kangaroo.
Yes, it certainly was, and it was my first win in Australian colours, and I hope it's one of many.
Okay, tremendous. Paul, would you mind coming over from the English Ute before we get back on? The rest of the fellas there, we haven't got time to talk to them. We've got other events to go. But ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Paul Thorpe. The Englishman tried their heart out tonight to get up there, but Lady Luck, Paul, was not shining on your side.
You could say that, really. It's been a tough couple of weeks for us, really, and you know we didn't have much sleep last night, and a few of the lads are tired, and a few engine problems and things, but we put a good show on, we think, and hope everybody's enjoyed it.
Gee, what a fantastic performance by yourself and Steve Schofield, who rode his heart out tonight.
Yes, Steve's been really consistent and throughout the tour, and you know he's just unbelievable. He just keeps popping out the start and top scoring everywhere we go near enough.
Okay, so we're going to see you back here in open competition a little later on in the season, and I'm sure when you fellows get down to that stage, you'll be right on tune, and we're looking forward to seeing you back then.
Yeah, we'll be back and hopefully put a real good show on, and one of us will probably be the victor on the open meeting, hopefully.
Okay, the Poms will be trying on that night. There they are, ladies and gentlemen, the victorious Australian side and the Englishmen who were runners-up, gallant in defeat tonight. We have plenty more to come, though, Sean, with Formula 500, some more sidecars and leader sprints.
What you want? We'll have a mix on tray. One piece on tray.
We'll have a crab mixed soup.
One crab mixed soup. And seafood rolls. One each.
Yes, sir.
What about a chow mein?
Yes, sure.
Okay, we got beef chow mein, king prawn chow mein, or chicken chow mein.
Maybe chicken.
Okay, do you want a beef dish?
No, I'd rather have pork.
Well, maybe you try our deep fried pork, black bean sauce. Yeah, sure. Okay.
Now, what about rice?
You want boiled or fried?
Well, I'd like boiled.
And I'd like fried. One boiled, one fried. Thanks, Lee. That'll do it. So mixed on tray and crab mixed soup, two seafood roll, one chicken chow mein, and deep fried.